sorry, I apologize because I've been out. The fine representative is going to, she's supposed to be on the agenda, so if she has time, and she's going to speak to you after the start. So you just add her in there. Thank you for coming.
Oh, you want to?
Yes, have a seat. They're about to get started.
And we're live.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is Village of Minerva Park Council meeting July 28th, 2020, 7 p.m. And we will start with roll call. Council President Wolf, sorry.
Here.
Didn't have to start with you. Paybacks on that one. Councilperson Tresla. Here. Councilperson McNamara.
Present.
Councilperson Bruger.
Here.
Councilperson Camera.
Here.
Councilperson Koss.
Present.
Okay. Everyone is in attendance. Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have July 9th work session and July 14th council meeting minutes. Do you separate them? Yep.
Got to separate.
So July 9th work session.
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, let's move to July 14th council meeting minutes.
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Suspensions, anything? Okay, we're good. Anybody with citizen comments? Do you want to start there for citizen? Do you want to let her speak
Well,
now
I was
or
going
add?
to give it 30 seconds
Okay.
and then amend the agenda and invite councilperson or representative like Bobby. Pardon me, I'm not for the, As there are no citizens' comments, at this time I'd make a motion that we amend the agenda to add Representative Lightbody to the agenda. Can we get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Representative Lightbody, if you'd love to talk to us, we'd love to hear from you.
Love to talk to you. I actually also invited Munira Abdullahi to come to the meeting tonight. I didn't get in touch with her today to confirm the time and location, but I know she was thinking of coming as well. And I'll explain who she is and what's going on, if that's all right with you all. So I prepared a few remarks, 4 pages of them. I won't bore you all in it, but let me start by saying thank you all for letting me come and talk to you tonight. Minerva Park has been a super important part of District 19, which I have been elected to serve for 2 terms now, so I'm at the tail end of term number 2. And I don't know if you all know this, but every time there was anybody doing door knocking in Minerva Park, it was me that was doing the knocking. I don't think any members of my team ever came in. I just loved it here. I rode my bike from door to door to door, and I think I hit lots of doors in the district and had lots of great conversations and love the atmosphere and the work that you're doing to keep the village entity distinct and unique and welcoming to all the folks who live here. And I didn't hear a word of complaint from anyone that I talked to. So thank you for that. So I represent District 19, which includes Minerva Park, Columbus, Gahanna, New Albany, Westerville, sort of that northeast corner of Franklin County. And then the 2020 census showed that Franklin County grew faster than the rest of the state. And so we were able to add another district in Franklin County after the census was done and they looked at the numbers and so on. The target number for each of us to represent is 119,000 in the next General Assembly. Right now, I currently have over 140,000 residents. So I knew that my district was going to shrink. I thought it was going to shrink geographically, but in fact it has not shrunk geographically. It just shrunk in terms of the number of residents that I will be representing, assuming I'm re-elected. The new district is District 4. So the pieces that were taken out include Minerva Park, the sections that I had coming down State Street, sections of the southern half of the Westerville School District, so south of Dempsey, that whole area, and parts going east over to New Hamilton Road, the extension where the Target is, for that exit off of 161 for New Hamilton Road. That area is all now part of District 9, and that includes Minerva Park. So going forward, you're going to be represented in the next General Assembly by whichever candidate wins in the general election in the fall. There are, as far as I know, 2 Republicans who are running against each other in the primary with an election on August 2nd. You are more than welcome, and I would in fact encourage you to make sure that Minerva Park residents know that I will not be the candidate for you in the next General Assembly. And so there's new candidates for you to learn about. I believe there are 2 on the Republican side, and I know for a fact there's 2 on the Democratic side. Munira Abdullahi is one of those 2 Democrats. I believe she is highly qualified to step up into that role, and I hope she'd be here to introduce herself. I'll make sure she comes and talks to you. She is a longtime resident of Northland, and is a young Muslim woman who was born overseas, but came here with their parents. She is the oldest of 9 children, all of the girls except the youngest, and all of them have done lots of volunteering in the Northland area. She's articulate, well-educated. She went to college, so she graduated from the Oklahoma City schools. I like her a lot. She's running against a guy named Paul Filippelli, who is an attorney, equally well-poised to take the position. So I don't know him as well, although I have talked to him and think he's certainly prepared to take over the position should he be the one who comes through the Democratic primary. So however that turns out, there will be a Democrat and Republican running against each other in the fall election, and I just encourage you to, find out what you can about all of the candidates and make the choices that are best for you individually. And then if you want to get engaged, and make sure that among the community, there will be different candidates. I'm sure they will come door knocking, and we'll be in touch probably with you all and come introduce themselves at future city council meetings. So I don't mean to imply any bias, but I do have a bit of a bias. Only because I have met Munira more and know her better than the other candidates. I'm a Democrat and I don't know the Republicans at all, so haven't met them, haven't crossed paths with them at all. Anyone who contacts me about information about what I've done for Minerva Park, I'm more than glad to share that information with them, and will help whoever is successful in the fall election to represent District 9 to make a smooth transition. I learned a lot the hard way, and I'm still learning things the hard way, but it's a tremendous opportunity to serve, and I'm very honored to do so. So we're currently in recess for the election. Every member of the Ohio House is either running for re-election or running for a different position or seeking different employment, but there are candidates across the state who are running, so we're in recess to allow us to do that. Only half of the Senate is up for re-election, but that does include our current Senator Maharaj, who is District 3 currently, and her district going forward will be District 4, which is my piece, District 5, and District 10. So she won't be your state senator going forward either. I can't give you information. I haven't done the due diligence and research on that particular piece. But if you're interested, I can certainly send you Mayor Hughes information about who those candidates are, so that you know and are aware of that. The congressional districts have also changed. I know that I now have Joyce Beatty. I think you probably do as well. And then whoever her Republican opposition is going to be in the fall. And I don't know that name either. I wasn't thinking about giving you a one-on-one on who's running for office particularly. More, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've done as your state representative. And in particular, I wanted to make sure you knew that in House Bill 597, we were able to get a capital budget reappropriation bill, of the $100,000 for the amphitheater. So I believe that's been approved, and so work should be continuing or starting or whatever the state of it is, but we were able to get you that $100,000. And in the current General Assembly, the second bill we had was House Bill 377, which is going to give you $70,000 in the local government fund from the American Rescue Plan. So you should be getting some good chunk of change to help you out with, some of the ameliorations that you had to do for COVID like that. I really enjoyed going to the ribbon cutting for the Minerva France Elementary School and the tour of that wonderful facility. And of course, I came just right by the middle school that's going up, and the walls are sort of propped up, and big wind doesn't come along. And I know that's going to add a lot to the educational opportunities and the proximity of those schools to the Minerva Park area. Of course, whenever there are new buildings in a school district, the powers that be on the school board do reassignments. My kids graduated from the Westville School, so I'm somewhat familiar with that process, but they do reassign students to different buildings when new buildings open, always trying, especially with middle and high schools, to mix kids from the different middle schools around the district so that they've got good diversity, but also when they go to high school, they mix them again so that the students that go to South, North, and Central come from each of those 4 middle schools, which prevents some of that very fierce cross-district rivalries that occur. The high schools that are in my district right now is only South, and going forward, I will no longer represent and have this part of the school district in my district at all. In fact, that's the piece that I'm losing, that I'm kind of most sad about. I taught in Westville schools, my kids graduated from it, I feel pretty close to that school district, like it a lot, and feel at home there. But I know that those 2 schools are going to make a huge difference down here. I also know that you have an East Shore Cord Storm Sewer project that you're working on. You have a new fiscal officer. I read your newsletter, so I've done these pieces, right? You're discussing your budget for 2023. You reviewed the Columbus version of the fireworks legislation and I don't know quite what you decided to do, but you're doing, making enforcement easier for the Minerva Park Police. That fireworks bill for me was difficult because I know that there have been very large numbers of children who've been injured in fireworks accidents. So I was not in favor of that bill and voted against it every time it came forward and spoke against it on the floor of the House for that reason. But I also know that everybody breaks the law all the time. They buy fireworks, they promise they're not going to fire them off in Ohio, and they do. I hope you have good success in enforcing whatever version of that law. We did make it permissible for you all to make your own decision. And I know your community garden is thriving, so I appreciate all those, the Minerva Park is a happening place. I wanted to share a little bit about some of the workforce jobs related bills that I've been working on. We had House Bill 95, which has gone through. I doubt it's going to impact anybody in Minerva Park because it's a farmer's bill that allows someone who is an older farmer who wants to retire or step aside to sell the land and or equipment to a beginning farmer who enters into a beginning farmer program for a tax benefit. That bill was jointly sponsored by myself and a woman named Susan Manchester, who represents a county way over at the Indiana line, and has passed the House and the Senate and signed into law. So hooray, for me, that was a huge breakthrough. Thanks very much. I'm working, we had a bill, House Bill 145, with Representatives White, which would increase the cutoff for federally funded child care from, it was at 136, it's now, I think we got it up to 142. We wanted it to go to 200% because we're very cognizant, she and I, that this is a workforce issue. There are women especially who want to work and can't because somebody's got to stay home with the kids. Generally, women earn a lower salary than their spouses for a variety of reasons that we won't go into tonight, but that is often the case. And so for a family who's faced with high child care bills, generally one spouse decides to stay home and take care of the kids. I know that's what we did. I stayed home for 10 years with my kids because we couldn't afford to pay somebody to do the job as well as I could do it myself. So we just scraped by, and I made all my kids' clothes, and we canned and had a huge garden, and we were economical. We had one car, and we're very economical in how often we drove it like that. But we're working on that, and I'm on the Child Care Study Committee that's looking now at the 5-star program and what are we going to do with that. I would like the state to really put a lot of money into supporting child care for especially low-income families so that they have the option to get child care at an affordable price so that they can work and not have to take 3 jobs and be totally absent from home in order to try to get food on the table. But also because I know that the brain development that occurs in those early years is phenomenal. And if the kids have the opportunities to learn and grow and be stimulated and to use the neurons that they're developing in their young brains, they keep those neurons, they develop better neural networks, and therefore they're ready for kindergarten at a much stronger position than if they weren't able to go into those child care programs. So I'm working on that. We have a report due by December. I'll make sure you know what the final, get a copy of that final report so that you can share that with folks in your, your community who would be interested to know what we end up recommending going forward. The other thing I've been working on is a Medicare buy-in for workers who have disabilities. This is a brand new House Bill 664, which says that if you're somebody who is disabled, but you have a job supported by Medicaid now, when you turn 65, those people are required to stop working. Well, no, they do stop working because Medicare does not provide the same level of support that they need to keep their jobs, and so they end up quitting. And for them, it's very debilitating. So much of who we are is tied up in what we do. And so this bill would allow them to stay on Medicaid as an additional buy-in until they turn 70. So we get 5 more years of work contributing to the community and meaningful work for the folks that are engaged in it. In terms of education, I've got a bunch of teacher bills. One that would allow someone who has a teaching certificate, who quit teaching for whatever reason, who left in good standing and wants to come back to teach, now that there's such a strong need for new teachers, they can step back into the classroom, assuming that they can get a job at the school district, and start working on a 2-year temporary license in whatever license they had previously with whatever endorsements they had previously, as long as they then do the 6 credit hours of coursework in 2 years or 18 hours of CPU time. But that sort of spread out over 2 years is doable. And we're hoping that that's going to entice some people back into teaching. I have another one that will the SDRS bill that had 4 aspects. One was to allow teachers to retire at whatever age when they get to 35 years of experience. That actually SDRS board did approve. The SDRS board also approved a 3% one-time COLA. My bill, which had that retired at any age when you've got 35 years in, also had a piece that said that SDRS board should give a 2% COLA going forward every year, marching forward. It would also ask the employers to increase their contribution to the benefit from $14,000 now to $18,000 at the rate of 0.5% a year over 8 years. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to be fighting hard for full funding of the Fair School Funding Act, right? And that had another piece, which was to establish a minimum amount that SDRS could reduce their COLA to at 1%. So they couldn't cut it out entirely as it has been for 5 years in the past. So this has a funding stream. It does something for the active teachers and something for the retired teachers. It's sort of languishing, hasn't moved. I don't know that it will, but I'm working hard to try to get better benefits for our teachers, both active and retired. I have a STEM teacher loan repayment program. If you love science and math engineering, you want to become a STEM teacher, apply to us, get enrolled in a program for 7 to 12 licensure. After you finish teaching, start teaching in a hard-to-staff or hard-to-serve school district. Don't know that this applies as much to Westerville as it does to some of the rural communities in the state that have a hard time getting a physics teacher or a chemistry teacher. And if they do that and stay in that school for 5 years, we'll pay up to $40,000 of their loans back for them. Another one asks if you are someone who is a student, a paralegal, a paraprofessional, or a staff at a school district and you want to get a teaching license, apply to us, we'll pay your way through college, and as long as you go back to your school and teach there for 5 years. And that's a way of increasing the diversity of the teaching staff, because we need more folks of diversity to be in our schools because our schools are diverse in the student population, and the students need to see people like themselves in order to continue to be engaged in working in schools. I have a couple healthcare bills. One is a Parkinson's registry, one that precludes insurance from cutting you off if you have pre-existing conditions and you have to change insurance. One is to prohibit the use of tanning beds for kids under the age of 18 because of skin cancers that are rampant in that age group, 25 to 30-year-olds. Some actually dying of skin cancers that they develop because of excessive tanning bed use. And then another one is an anti-conversion therapy bill. If you're a youth under the age of 18, no medical professional can engage in conversion therapy. I have a couple for the environment, one that would ask the OEPA to set a limit for PFAS in our water supply. I don't know where you get your water. Is it Columbus?
City Columbus.
City Columbus, because they test their waters all the time. There have been some well tests around the state. There were several, mostly near the Air Force bases, so near Bright Pat and Rickenbacker, where the firefighters and training and fires, they put out some of the oil and gas fires with PFAS chemical foam. So there's higher PFAS in those areas. PFAS chemicals, there's 5,000 of them. They're in nonstick pans. If you have a raincoat, it's in your raincoat. If you have carpet in your house, it's got PFAS in it. And in fact, all of us probably have PFAS in our bloodstreams. And we're trying to clean up the water. So I have a PFAS bill. I have a bill that we're working on to try to get better clean air, water, energy, investing in families in the long term, trying very hard to cut into the costs that many families experience. So the various Democrats have some, or actually not even Democrats, have some of our colleagues in the State House have some bills to look at infant formulas, how expensive that is, and to control that, eliminate the diaper tax, do something about safe sleep and boxes for babies so that babies don't get put into the bed with the family and get suffocated when the adult rolls over in their sleep. So safe baby programs, a caregiver expense tax credit. So if you are a caregiver who's not paid, a grandmother taking care of grandchildren, for example, they could get a tax credit for providing that service in an earned income tax credit. So we're working on a variety of things. I'm ranking member on the Technology and Innovation Committee. I serve on the Higher Ed Committee, Primary and Secondary Committee, Energy and Natural Resources, and Health at the moment. I'm on the Child Care Study Committee. On Monday, I'm going to the Controlling Board to sit in for our ranking member on the Finance Committee who can't be there. It's a decision where we release funds that have already been allocated, but the people that want the money have to come to us and get it all approved. So we have some checks and balances there, which I think is a good thing to know about. You know, we are very careful in how we spend your tax dollars and those of your residents. I'm on this. I'm on a program to help folks who have disabilities with unemployment, trying to help more people get jobs who are disabled, and I'm on the Retirement Benefits Council as well. So my STRS bill, there's one for police and fire that you probably may know, I hope you know about it, that would ask the employers to pay a higher percentage into the police and fireman retirement fund. That's, I think it's House Bill 195. It's had 2 hearings. I don't know if it's going to move forward, but it's being considered in the Retirement Study Council. And I know for municipalities, that's a huge ask because you've lost over the last 10, 15 years, 50% of the local government fund. So I'm working to try to get that money restored, trying to get school funding up to where it ought to be, trying to make sure that folks who are retired and are going to be retired can, expect to get the benefits that have been promised by their employers. Oh, that wasn't too much, but I'm a pretty busy woman, and I love the job. It's been an honor to serve, and I certainly appreciate you representing Minerva Park in the work that I do in the state. So, do you have any questions?
Now, you're running again this fall?
I am. I'm on the ballot in August 2nd. I do not have a primary opponent. I will be facing, there were 2 people on the Republican side who are running for the seat. The man has withdrawn. So the woman who remains is a woman named Jill Gruber, who is a real estate agent, and many people know her. So she's going to be my opponent in the fall.
And is it, because I'm not, I have signs for you that I put up in my yard, so I enjoy you being our rep. But were you not term limited out, or is it because of the redistricting, or am I just confused with term limits for Ohio House?
Ohio House, we can serve 4 consecutive terms.
I thought it was
each
2,
of
so I was
2 years.
confused.
No, the Senate can serve for 2, but theirs are 4-year terms.
Yeah.
So they don't have to do what we do, which is turn around, as do our U.S. Congress people, turn around after 2 years and run for re-election already.
That
It's like
explains it. I
barely
just had the
started.
Senate and the House.
Yeah,
flip-flop.
and then redistricting came in the middle of all of that.
Mhm.
And so I've lost Minerva Park in the southern half of the Westwood School District because of redistricting being because my district has 140,000 people. So something had to get cut. And we've added the extra district.
And the other thing I wrote down is, and if you have time, walk across the bridge or walk across the dam. The amphitheater, the trees were removed from the top of it, and they're just about finished with repairing the masonry.
Oh, I will absolutely.
When I looked there last night, it looked like it was almost finished, and I imagine if he's not done today, it'll be by Friday.
Well, if you have a ribbon cutting, let me know, because I can do a commendation.
Well, we still have a lot of things to think about, electricity to put in there.
Yeah.
I suspect it could be before your term.
Well, I was going to say do it by December, so I can
Yeah,
start you.
no, I think that's a plan, is to get it, we have several more steps, but it's, not a huge project, and I would anticipate being completed here before the end of the year, with council's blessing on a couple of things, of course.
Well, I did look at it, one of the last times I was here, because I wasn't really sure where it was. It's pretty obvious where it was. You know, I could figure that out. So I'll be sure to look for it.
I have one question too. So speaking of improvements in River Park, we did apply for capital bill funding for walking trails. We were a little disappointed that we didn't get it. Is
Yeah.
there anything that we could have done to make our application stronger?
So the way that process, I tried hard, I really did. I knew it was an important piece. I talked to members of your council about it. I knew where the trail was supposed to go. I knew why I needed it for the connection. When we have budget requests, the ones that tend to get a good nod from our collective group and others who are helping to make the decisions and looking at the budget and how much we have to spend, is it's a well-prepared, shovel-ready job. So it was as shovel-ready as it probably could have been, as was your amphitheater project, except the amphitheater project is just now kind of getting wrapped around. I was asked, as the state rep for this district, to allocate $500,000, $500,000. I could distribute that among the projects that were requested. And I had 3 projects that each wanted $500,000. So I couldn't do it all. So I sort of prioritized those that I thought would happen anyway. I gave them less. Those that I thought wouldn't get as much got more. And your projects were some that I prioritized higher. We then, as a collective Franklin County delegation, including Laura Lanes, the only Republican representative in Franklin County at the time, got together and discussed sort of community-wide projects, and we ranked and ordered them as what our top priorities were. And if you can imagine 10 high-powered, highly energetic, each person kind of looking at that long list and trying to prioritize. And in general, we looked for projects that helped the folks that needed the help the most. So we funded trafficking facilities for girls that were being trafficked. We funded housing projects for those that are unhoused. We prioritized drug rehabilitation programs for folks that are struggling with opioid addictions like that. There were several that I just put right down to the bottom of the list because I thought, I love the arts, but I thought that the walking path here for you all was higher priority than, something for the symphony orchestra, although I love the music as well, right? So it was hard choices, but we only had $3 million for that piece, right? I think, I don't know how to say this tactfully, the majority party has a little bit more control over which districts get how much money. But the Franklin County delegation happens to be a particularly powerful group and well-connected group, and there's a lot of entities in Franklin County that were also cheering for Franklin County projects. So I don't think in Franklin County that was any kind of a drawback for us, with 10 representatives, 9 of whom were Democrats and 1 who's a member of the majority overall, right? So in some cases, I think that can be a problem, but I don't think that was for Franklin County. So why it didn't get funded, there's simply not enough money to go around. And I did fight hard for you, so.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and whoever is your new elected representative will do the same for you. If you'd like, I can, maybe I could share with whoever would like to see it some of the other winning projects, so that you get a sense of what depth of information is provided, how much, the specific breakdown of how the money would be spent. projects that had additional funding sources also tended to get a little bit better support because we knew you weren't just relying on state tax dollars, but that you could raise some of the revenue yourself. So some of those projects got a little bit better support than others that were, we were trying to fund our own state money. So, I'll have to work.
Thank you.
And lastly, I'll just say, if you want to do something for teacher retirements, Ohio is one of 15 states that does not allow access to Social Security funds for teachers who retire,
We're working-
regardless if they're a second career teacher and spent the first 20 of the years paying into it or not.
Right. We're working on that as well. It's not a bill that I have seen the language of, but I know there's several reps who are thinking about it and working on it. It's probably not going to pass this GA, but might next. And I'll tell you honestly that this impacts me personally, because right now I'm getting Social Security survivor benefits from my husband, who passed away in 2009, paid into Social Security his whole life. And I'm going to lose it as soon as I retire because my SDRS benefits are going to be higher than the amount I get from Social Security. So I'm going to lose it.
It's the same thing with PERS then too, I think.
I think so.
So
I think it's all-
I'm hoping they can wrap that all together.
Yeah,
for all of us.
because you paid into those benefits,
We
you
did.
deserve those benefits. The trouble is that the Social Security Administration has, the Social Security Pension Fund has not been as strongly protected as pension funds in Ohio have been. And there has been some extensive, robbing from Peter to pay Paul out of that fund. And, I of course support that and want to make sure that that is fully funded and secure, especially when, we'll look at how many federal dollars are pouring in to help us recover from COVID, looking for money into our infrastructure that we've also sort of neglected. I think we also need to just make sure that people around the country are paying the taxes that they should be paying, because I think there's a lot of scofflaws out there who aren't paying what they owe. And the IRS has not had sufficient, they've had staffing cuts, so they've not had sufficient staff to do audits and come after people and collect the money that's due. So I think that would also help. So we're working on it, those kinds of things. Some of that's federal that I can't do
Yeah.
much with, right? But that which is within state purview and within my control, I certainly, we're working on. Well, thank you very much for the
Thank you very
opportunity to
much.
speak.
Thank you.
Can I have big indulgence from everyone for 30 seconds here before we move on to legislation?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
Smoke like you got it.
No, can't do that for 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. I'll look forward to voting for you in Norman. I live there, so I'm in the staff. So appreciate all your work here.
It's a great place.
It is, we've worked hard making it.
And
Yes.
every time I turn around, it's so nice. With Hawthorne not being quite so overcrowded, I think it's going to be, it's going to ease a lot of this. It's very
Those new schools will serve a lot of people, not just within the park, obviously.
Oh, it's gonna be squeezed.
Yeah.
Squeeze it.
Which is wonderful for a lot of kids.
And I know you have the diversity in houses.
We do.
Which is great.
It is.
Where are you with your charter?
With mine.
The charter?
Charter, oh, well, we would have to start anew, it did not pass.
Right, I knew that.
So of course, at some point, the council may choose to take up another.
Pick it up? Okay.
We should.
They still need one.
It's it's a lot of work.
Yes.
So I was very involved the last time around, and it was a great charter that we drafted, but it was just a lot, and took a lot out of the
The group that was
I
drafted.
forget the number, 15 or 12 or whatever, we just, every bit of blood, sweat, and tears went on the paper, and nobody had gas left to sell. So, at the end of the race, nobody had the energy to go knock on doors and tell everybody why it was great, and so it just died.
Yeah, there'll be another chance, it takes a few times.
It does, yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to working with whoever takes my place representing you to make sure that person hits the ground running. And certainly, I'm in office and support representing you all until December 31st. So if you need,
Good luck on your race in your now
Right.
district that sounds like is extended out into the
Well,
more rural
what I
area.
picked up was Blackwood, Jefferson Township area, which is indeed a little bit more rural. And so I can't ride my bike on those roads where people go by 55 miles an hour.
A lot of houses being put up over there.
There's growth everywhere. I'm also, I should have probably told you this, I'm actually smack in the middle of trying to organize a meeting with people who know what's going on with Intel, what the plans are, where the road changes are going to be. And I think I have some people from Minerva Park on my invitation list, but I just today got a request from Emily Smith, we had to change the time because of some things in Licking County. So instead of being 7 to 9, it was going to be 3 to 5, and Emily Smith from Intel can't come from 3 to 5 that day. So we're looking for a new date. Oh my God, but we're trying just to get people, elected officials, it's a private meeting, not a public event, elected officials representing all of the sections of my district, plus probably Reynoldsburg, to come and listen to what's going on with roads, what's going on with infrastructure, what's with water, what's with fire protection, what are the job opportunities.
And finally, it'll pass the House today too.
Yeah,
So we're
and so they
good.
just need the funding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they gotta get the funding piece left, that's the last piece of it.
Yeah, you can slow that down just long enough for us to get a contractor to do our work.
Any of the
The building is nothing we're working on. We got a lot of issues.
They've already contracted with a contractor to do the prep work for the site. The building itself is in phase 2, and that'll be a little longer, so work quickly and you get your contractors.
All right.
All right, moving on to legislation then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, it's pleasant to see you all.
Thank
Well,
you.
Have a good night.
All right, nothing too exciting tonight for legislation. First, we have ordinance number 2022-19, an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the Village of Minerva Park to include section 618.19, cleanup of animal defecation. Second reading, and this is the one that says not cleaning up after your pet is a minor misdemeanor. After the third time in a 12-month period, it jumps up to a 4th-degree misdemeanor. Comments, questions, anything, anyone? All right, it's been read a second time. Resolution 2022-20, a resolution authorizing a contract with blank for leaf pickup. This is our standard leaf pickup contract. Of course, anyone who lives in the village knows the leaf pickup is one of the greatest things about being here, and it's awesome, and you couldn't live here without it. Well, the reason it's blank is we are still getting bids. I believe, Mayor Hughes, you said 2 interested parties picked up the bid packet, which means this is what we want from you for them to look at.
We have it being advertised in papers. We've actually done a little more this year just to try to get the word out. But keeping with the timeline, that's why we're doing it with blanks. This is not abnormal for this one.
Yes, and I believe one of the companies that came and pulled it was the one that actually did it last year.
Yeah, he stopped by, yeah.
He did.
Okay.
Thought so.
All right, so that's the first reading. To get that rolling, we'll fill in money and numbers later. Lastly, first reading of Resolution 2022-22 is a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into contract with Jacobs Engineering / CM2H Hill for the 2022 Lake Master Plan proposal and declaring it an emergency with a cost not to exceed $75,000. Mr. Fisher, I will just ask for you to give some comments on that for some context for everyone watching at home.
Well, this is as has been discussed here since, well, I started, and I think for the decade or so prior to my starting. Because I know your engineer's been here since the early 2000s, and he's been speaking to the lake needs since that time frame, and has brought in a number of experts, and both this council, previous councils have brought in various folks to talk about it. This is a master planning event, essentially, that will be handled by your current village engineer. So it'll be basically a contract entered into them that's separate from the master contract you have with them, and you'll be able to utilize their expertise, as they have a number of engineering experts and other folks in this field, where lakes are a specialized area of study and development, and they're going to present to you and the public a number of different options through the process as laid down in the document. And at the end of the day, the council will then choose what option they want, and then you'll be able to allocate funds and go out to bid for that if you choose to move forward on anything other than the current status quo. So that's where we're at.
There we go, and that is a first reading. And that's all legislation for tonight, folks. Well, sorry, did anyone have anything to say about the lake? Anyone wanted to make any,
Might as well hold it, because I think that was gonna be the first thing that came up under old business, right? So,
Yeah, I
Yep.
think we can go directly from that to old business. I think the main thing is getting it read for the first reading tonight, knowing that you guys are gonna have 2 more readings, work sessions to discuss it. This is obviously, as Eric mentioned, this has been talked about until it couldn't be talked about anymore. So this is gonna be put in front of everybody to determine which way we wanna go. This is gonna be a long process. This is not gonna be turned around in a couple weeks. This is gonna be a multi-month project, probably, putting together all the options. We do want to try to get this moving quickly, because once we get the options, you guys are gonna decide between A, B, C. Obviously, we'd have quite a bit of funding for this project, but it's gonna probably need to be bid out. So you're, again, looking for contractors that are gonna come do this. So we only have 3 years to use the money. So we do wanna get moving on this sooner rather than later. But you guys we'll start talking about when we want our next work session, because that's gonna be one of the comments that we're heading into. So when, move to that.
okay.
Or do you wanna talk more about the
Let's
list?
start old business. Does anybody
for it.
else, under old business, we had said we'd talk about lakes and the lake proposal under old business. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that this evening?
Yes, email and mailer notification.
No, just about lakes.
Just about lakes.
I would just point out that the mayor's comment on lots of money is, it's what it is. It's that the lakes we can use the TIF money on the
Yes.
lakes as opposed to something like the whole
Correct.
Jordan Road sewer thing. So those TIF monies that we have that will expire are usable on the lakes, and that's where
Correct.
the money. I just wanted clarification on that in case someone was
That's why
wondering
you're
where we
here.
had it.
There you go.
I have one
We can
very
discuss.
brief thing
Oh, go
about the
ahead.
lake thing we discussed. I noticed in the, all the things they said they do for sampling and assessment, they talk about like the sediment samples. If memory serves, we did do sediment sampling in the last 2 years, and I was wondering if that could be incorporated for cost savings. We need like a clean slate entirely. I just would hate to,
We will make
do
sure.
something twice.
We'll have
Yes.
Mike speak to that to some degree, and I think that, as with anything, when your lake sediment is clearly, it builds up over time, and obviously your lake gets a lot more deposited on it in a quicker time frame than, perhaps other bodies of water. It's not the same as your ground, where we take a geotech sample in that ground, like we'll do for this site. The ones that, I would say you have a very limited lifespan, but I'll let Mike speak to that from an expertise standpoint.
But a good call out. And
Yes.
that's the
And if we
expert.
can use it, then we can use it and save
Yep.
$20.
Yes.
20 out of 75.
There you go. All right, moving on, other old business item, Councilperson Shrestha had something to talk about a mailing.
Yeah, so we were looking at that tech stuff, and we found just a very much more efficient and way cheaper way to do that, save the village hundreds of dollars, so of course, that's what we want to do. However, we need to collect this data, so what we want to do is send out this postcard here. And it don't need appropriation, just trying to do my due diligence, be transparent. Cost would be $425. Our last postcard that we sent out, I'm trying to remember what that postcard was for.
What was the note, well, we sent out some notifications.
The community building meeting, yeah, that was $399, but I mean, postage went up, so it's gonna cost us $425. But again, at that point, we have everybody's email, what they wanna sign up for, and we can get that started like ASAP. So, this
Anybody
works.
got notes?
We're doing it this way as opposed to the newsletter because
But that has the information on it, right? So I think
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's the direct collection point to the postcard.
Yeah.
I think they fill it out and turn it back in, or send it back, right?
They send it back here.
That's right, there you go. So that's why.
Yep.
I mean, it can probably also be included in the newsletter, because asking twice is
That's, there's not wrong
It
with
is.
that.
generally more
I thought it
successful than
was, yeah.
asking
It is.
once.
Okay.
All right, so I don't think I'm hearing any opposition, so giddy up.
Works for me, yeah, we'll do it first thing tomorrow.
Yep, and then, anybody else have anything for old business?
I do. August 15th is when the pool will start opening from 4 to 8 p.m. That's when lifeguards go back. National Night Out reminder is August 2nd, 5:30 to 7:30. And there's gonna be food trucks, there's gonna be all kinds of fun little things for kids and adults and all of the above. So National Night Out, August 2nd, 5:30, 7:30, behind Hawthorne. And that's it. What am I doing? That's back to you now.
Okay, so, back to you,
Back to
Tiffany. Backpacks, we're still collecting lots of school supplies. This alone was just donated, well, the backpacks you see was from the wonderful people at Sahara Columbus. Absolutely amazing. I even saw one of our officers smile. Yeah, Bingham smiled, and it was a genuine smile. Don't let him tell you any different. I got it on camera. So all these kids did that. It's absolutely amazing. David actually met with OSU on Monday.
Ohio State College of Nursing is,
But
I was just clarifying, it was Ohio State College of Nursing I had more sway with.
so if they can't help us this year, they definitely want to partner up next year. We've talked to quite a few people. So this is going till the day of Pancakes with Police, the 6th in the morning from 9 to 11. During that time, our chef of police will be making pancakes, hat and all, suit and all, yes. And then kids will be collecting those backpacks. We also have 3 stylists that has donated their time from Urban Posh Salon to come in and help these kids get their haircuts. So they are ready to go. They got supplies there, they're ready to go. So, yeah, if you want to donate to that, please do that. And everybody, it's an open event, free event for pancakes. Who don't want free pancakes? So, that's my selling point.
That is so awesome.
Come to the pancakes.
Oh, I'm coming for the pictures. The chief.
Any other old business?
Okay. No.
All right, then under new business, I know we wanted to talk about moving our monthly work session. The idea proffered was instead of Saturday morning, which is everybody's favorite.
No, it's not.
And if it was
Saturday
like,
morning was fine virtually, because you could roll out of bed and drop down in front of your thing. Saturday morning, when you had to pull your happy little bottom here, and we do have some people who drive a fair amount to get here, including the mayor, who, depending on how long it takes her to make that left turn, you need that same left turn,
I
but,
can pick her up.
Yeah.
good carpool,
yeah.
but in any case.
Anyway, that's why it went virtual, and everyone was very happy with it.
And we're all in a much better mood on Thursday nights, is all I gotta
I
say.
think.
In general.
I prefer Thursday nights.
So Thursday night is what's proffered, so Thursday, were we saying still 7 o'clock, or, yeah, so Thursday, 7 o'clock?
I was, and I thought my only one thing was, it doesn't always go 2 hours, sometimes it does. If we could get 6 or even 6:30, don't want to be leaving here at 9.
I like 6:30, just from the staff.
I might be late all the time.
Yeah, I would say.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
that's
well,
not true, yeah.
yeah, we have lots of people being late all the time, that, you
We
know.
have 2 people coming straight from
Yeah,
their
yeah.
primary employment, so.
That, well, then those are good enough reasons not to move the time.
Then there you go.
If
So,
we, just as an FYI, if we know that there's gonna be a super long topic of something, maybe we could just
Yeah.
alter it a little bit a couple days before in the event, and if we only have one person late or something, but at 7 PM, I mean, I'm not in disagreement, I don't wanna be here until
So
10.
so I think procedurally, we probably need a motion and a voice vote to amend our rules of council, because our rules of council codify that meeting.
Motion to amend.
Second.
So there you go.
There we
So
go.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? An abstention. So again, that's a motion that was made to amend the rules of council to move the monthly work session to Thursday nights at 7.
Okay, and just
Huh?
as clarification, it's going to be
Well,
the
the
Thursday
Thursday?
prior to the actual council meeting.
So it should be the first Thursday of the month.
And we will get the calendar updated, if not tomorrow, by Monday. And if, we actually looked at a calendar and it works at least all of this year, and then we'll work on next year just to make sure that it works for all of them.
Oh, yeah, just, well, I mean,
So helpful.
the only Thursday conflict would be like Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
That's never gonna be the first
But that's,
Thursday.
Yeah.
that's by definition.
So the first council meeting, just so everybody is fully aware and they can do this now, is August 3rd, is going to be is that correct?
August 11th is the first meeting, so the
For
work
August.
session would be the 4th.
It is August 4th is a Thursday.
Just so you know,
Oh.
I'm not gonna be there.
I very well might have trouble making it there as well.
I'll be there for the meeting, but not the work session.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make that work session either, because no, I have something else west on the 4th to do up in Westerville, and I can't remember what the time.
I'm just gonna move it.
I can't make that one either.
So why don't we make this effective for September?
Yeah, because
I probably won't be able to do that.
6:30 is my thing.
Okay.
Thursday, I think I'm probably not the only person going.
Saturday morning for August, we'll start Thursdays in September.
And then this
Everybody
is,
good with
You're gonna have to
that?
handle
Well,
the
hang
date in
on.
September.
hang on, before we 100%, I just want to remind everybody.
1 hour.
We have 1 hour on Saturday, if we can just, everybody come in with their smiles on their face, because Pancakes
Oh.
is actually here Saturday
Yes.
morning
So we
at
get paid at
9.
9, so we'll be out at 9.
All right, yep, we got it.
Well, and then we'll be here for pancakes.
And then we're already here for pancakes.
I'll bring some syrup.
Chief,
One
that's
thousand.
gonna make somebody.
Hold it, Barb, go ahead.
So the council work session for September is scheduled for the 10th. The first Thursday of the month is the 1st.
Yeah,
So do you want to
but-
go the 1st or the 8th?
So the 10th was wrong. It should have been the third anyhow. So it should be the 1st for the work session, the 8th for the meeting, and then the 22nd for the second.
Okay, let me see that. Why do I feel like that's not right?
That's right.
Because you don't know how to
Calendar
calendar.
started, it was the
You're right,
first
it is
one.
the first of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that's right, the first, and then the 8th is the council meeting, and then
Did not stay in our holiday express last night.
so the first is gonna be the work session, is what you guys wanna move it to, because
Yes.
that is,
The first Thursday.
I know it is, but I was just only pointing out that is, I'm not going anywhere, but that is Labor Day weekend, and it doesn't matter to me, but I will not be here that week. I'm gonna be in
Well, yeah,
here.
but the Thursday off is definitely,
You
the
wanna
Thursday
switch
is
it?
more likely than
Okay.
the Saturday, right?
Well, I'm gonna be here either one. I'm just
So
saying.
if someone
No, all
wants something
I'm-
over Labor Day, it's not gonna
Listen,
start
all I'm
Thursday.
saying is, it's
It's not
currently
Friday.
on the calendar for the 8th.
Listen, Miss Mexico, you go wherever you're going.
But do we not have it listed as the 15th as the first actual meeting? So for the record, I scheduled this before you guys did this
And
meeting.
I think that's in your, you'll have to.
So all my
change-
point is do you want to
Change
leave
the
that
dates,
You'll
alone?
have to officially change the
All right,
dates.
yeah, so we'll do that in the next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay. All I know is we have a meeting Saturday morning from the Saturday morning, August 6th, from 8 to 9, and then we're eating pancakes after that.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I don't know what we're doing in
With that, or do
September.
we have to bring our own?
Figure it out.
Okay.
All right, any other new business?
Hang on.
No,
No, I don't.
All right, move to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Let's get that out of here, folks.
Good night, everybody. I'll send out some good news for
Yeah,
all
all I
these.
was saying is 6:30 on the calendar, leave it alone, for the 15th and do it the 8th, because I'll be here, but you guys don't need me, so do what you guys wanna do, but it's your fault I'm missing a meeting, is all I gotta say for now.
We don't want you anyway.
I'm not planning on spending the United States for the rest of the summer.
This is my last, other than Vegas, this is my last trip this year, and that's not till October.
Let me rephrase, how much time you spend on planning in River Park this